Welcome to our online offer holder day. My name is Margaret Barnes-Davies. I'm the admissions lead. I also teach on phase 1 of our curriculum. And the purpose of this video is to tell you a bit about phase 1 of the course. Our head of medical school, Professor Richard Holland, has recorded a couple of separate videos. There's a welcome talk and a talk about phase 2 of the course, so please do also listen to those talks as well. So our aim at Leicester Medical School is to produce doctors who will be safe and competent, but also compassionate and caring, and doctors that will have the resilience to cope with what is actually a challenging career. The curriculum that we've produced is a very patient-focused curriculum and gets you to think about things from a patient's perspective throughout. It's also a student-centred course, and by that I mean that our academic staff don't just provide you with the knowledge, but what we do is we actively promote your development of skills so that you can produce skills which help you to actively learn and to discover information for yourselves as well. And that will help you in your future career because learning never stops with medicine. So the approach that we have at Leicester Medical School is we have blended what we know works best from traditional methods with innovative learning and things that we know, new things that we know that have come on board that we know will help you to learn well. All your learning, as I've said, is done in a clinical context, and more so it's also patient focused. The course that we have at Leicester is not a problem-based learning course. What we've got is a course where we guide your learning throughout, but we still provide you with lots of active learning. But that active learning in groups is guided by us rather than being a problem-based learning course. So what kinds of learning will you encounter when you come to Leicester Medical School? So we teach you through a variety of different methods. You will have lectures. There are lectures predominantly in the George Davies Centre, and you will also have lots of group work where you work through problems together in your group. Things that we've kept that we know work really best from traditional courses are things like dissection. And as I'll show you later, we have a really big, well-equipped dissecting room. So you get lots of chance to do dissection at Leicester. We also offer you clinically relevant practical classes so that you can learn things in a different setting. Obviously, you must learn your consultation skills as well, and that is done with some GP tutors, and we have actors who come in to simulate patients to help you develop consultation skills in the first instance. We're very keen on technology enhanced learning at Leicester, and for a number of years now all our students when they arrive are issued with an iPad, so that's your iPad to keep for the time that you're at medical school. And a lot of our learning is delivered through the iPad, so your group work, your workbooks are given to you through the iPad. Your lecture slides are available on the iPad. You can annotate your lecture slides as you go along. All the material you need is on your iPad, and there are links in your iPad to the relevant chapters in textbooks when we want you to look at things, or there might be links to videos that you should watch, etc. And you know, when you go home, for example, in an Easter break, to take all the stuff that you need to revise, you just take your iPad home. Everything is there and links to all the material that you need. And then, of course, as you move out of phase 1 of the course into year 3 and beyond, you're then in full-time clinical training, and that's our phase 2 of the course. And as I've said, Professor Richard Holland has provided a separate video explaining to you about phase 2 of the course, so please do watch that. So we have a 5-year course, that's our A100 course, which consists of phase 1, and phase 1 is years 1 and 2 when you're predominantly in the medical school. And then phase 2 is years 3, 4 and 5, when you're predominantly out on clinical placements, either in hospitals or in the community. For students who are on our 6-year course, our A199 course, you do your year naught or your foundation year, and then you progress into year 1 of the 5-year course. So your teaching thereafter is alongside all the 5-year students on the A100 course. So this talk is equally as relevant to you. So just thinking of phase 1, the first 2 years of the course, the diagram up here kind of shows you a schematic of years 1 and 2. So currently our course starts with a very early clinical placement, and that's just to help you go into a clinical setting and start seeing things from a patient's perspective, from a patient context. You're not really expected to do anything other than observe, get to know the patients, what it's like for the patients, and also to talk to the staff involved as well, and get to know quite a bit from the staff, and then reflect a lot on that experience afterwards. During the phase 1, you obviously have a lot of the molecular and cellular sciences to learn how things work at a cellular level, to learn about genetics, etc. And then there are certain applied sciences that you need to know about, such as infection and immunology, pathology, etc. And then a lot of the teaching is through integrated systems-based units. So these are units such as the respiratory unit, the urinary unit, the musculoskeletal unit, the cardiovascular unit, which is the unit that I lead as well. And then you go on to the applied things, and you look at things like population science and sociology as well. And there is time to consolidate your learning. And then also throughout, there is the early clinical experience. So that early clinical experience is where you're learning your consultation skills, learning your physical examination skills, learning how to take a patient history, etc. And that happens throughout both years 1 and 2. And then you start off learning communication skills, etc. with actors, and then you go out into placements in general practice and in hospital placements, and you will have a GP tutor that leads you through that early clinical experience. So this is just to show you through another way. So we've got the cellular and molecular basis of medicine. So that's things like looking at cellular physiology, looking at genetics, etc., looking at how molecules and receptors work. We've got the population and social sciences. We've got those integrated system curriculum and the applied sciences, and then the consolidation that you do when you bring everything together and look at familiar topics from a new perspective. And all that is underpinned and surrounded by that early clinical experience and putting everything into a patient context. So all the learning that you receive throughout is in a patient context. So this is just to show you a screen shot from our website. So if you go onto our website and look at the curriculum pages on our website, there is actually an interactive diagram. Now this diagram I've shown you here, you can actually hover over this and click on things, and you'll get a description of what occurs in the different units. So for example, the unit that I lead, the cardiovascular system, so in that unit you'll see that we'll do you learn things like the anatomy, the embryology, how the heart develops. You learn the physiology, how the heart actually works in the body, how the cardiovascular system works. You will also learn a little bit about what goes wrong with the heart, about things that can go wrong in the cardiovascular system, and learn about how you might assess the conditions as well. And you get to do practical things such as learn how to do an ECG, and you will also spend some time down in the dissecting room, dissecting the hearts and looking at the structure of the heart as well. So all that learning is brought together in an integrated fashion. And typically a day would start with a lecture followed by either a dissecting room session or a group work session, and then followed up by another lecture as well. And the group work that you do is getting you to think through and to work through problems that are related to the teaching that you get in the lectures. So we don't just deliver the teaching to you in a lecture format, but we give you opportunities to consolidate that as well. You're given self-study things to do as well, some questions to work on in your own time, and then the different units will give you quizzes and things that you can do, little formative quizzes, so you can test your own learning as you go along. So I've mentioned quite a bit about working in groups. So just to explain to you that when you arrive in phase 1, you're assigned to a small group, and that's a group of about 8 or 9 students. And you work with that group over the 2 years that you're in phase 1. And when you're in group work, there'll be 4 groups in a room, and you will have an expert leading your group work and helping you. So you're working on the questions that we've set, you're working on your iPad, completing these structured tasks, but you have your tutor in the room who's moving around, and they are experts, so they can really help to explain things, and sometimes they'll stop and explain things to the group as a whole as well. One of the good things about group work is that it really builds up on your teamwork and skills as well. So you're actually learning from each other, and we find that our students are very good at teaching each other, encouraging each other, and working together in groups. So our dissecting room is a excellent facility that we have. It's a really big dissecting room. There are room for 32 tables with cadavers on them, and each group has their own cadaver. So when you go down to the dissecting room, you'll be working on your own cadaver as a group, and it's the same group that you've been doing your group work with. There's lots of staff down there when you're in the dissecting room, lots of our clinical teaching fellows and the academic staff all down there to help you with your dissections. And we've also got a TV camera, so we have a demonstration station in the middle, and we maybe show you how the dissection is done, show you the structures that you're going to find. There are cameras, there are television screens around the room, so you can look and see how something should be done, and then you can work on your cadaver. In the dissection room, we also use other technology to enhance your learning. So we have 3D printers, and sometimes we have scanned structures from the cadavers, or have scans from other means, and we print out 3D models of various pieces of anatomy so that you can see things on the 3D model as well. We've also got 3D cameras which can take photographs of prosections or structures, so that we can provide you with 3D images that you can then work on to help you to learn the anatomy. So there's lots of things that we do in the dissection room. There's lots of bones, etc., so that you can work on those to learn the structure of bones as well. Another really important thing is learning from patients. So at Leicester we've got a patient and carer group. And the patient and carer group are a group that you will encounter straight from the start. So you will meet some of those, and you will interact with them, and you'll really begin to find out what it's like from a patient's perspective. We also use something called Patient Knows Best, which is an electronic platform where you interact with members of this patient and carer group to talk to them about some cases that they have, some symptoms or something they might tell you about, and then you can look up and you can explain things to them, etc. So these patient and carer groups are involved in the Patient Knows Best electronic platform. They're also involved in your very early clinical experience as well. So they are a very valuable group that we have. So our phase 1 of the course goes down very well with our students, and what I've done in this slide here is I've just put up some of the quotes that we've had from some of our year 1 and year 2 students, and you can just pause the video and have a read of some of these quotes. But students like the phase 1 of our course, they're very happy with it, and they've got lots of good things to say about it. When you're at Leicester Medical School, you can also have the opportunity to do an intercalated degree. And at Leicester, we have very flexible options. So you can do a bachelor's degree, you can do a master's degree, you can intercalate after year 2, year 3 or year 4. You can also intercalate elsewhere as well if you choose. So please do consider that. Hopefully we'll have a video for you to watch on the intercalated degree programme at Leicester as well, and Professor Holland has mentioned a little bit more about the intercalated programme in his talk on phase 2. The other thing is that we've got excellent sources of support at Leicester as well, and again we've provided a separate little video for you that's going to explain about the pastoral support, the personal tutor support, the academic support, etc. that is on offer at Leicester. So please do look at that video as well. So finally, I'd just like to think about why Leicester? Why should you choose Leicester? Well, actually, we believe that we've got a really dedicated and approachable teaching team. All the unit leads are really approachable, are very happy for you to contact them. We want to work with you as part of a learning team. The curriculum that we have at Leicester is actually very well regarded. It's got plenty of active learning in it. It's so well regarded that it's actually been taken up by several other medical schools. We've got those great dissection room facilities, and it is just such a buzz in the dissection room. We are so privileged to have the people who have donated their bodies and the families that have allowed that to happen, so that we have this facility, and dissection is by far the best way to learn anatomy, so we're really privileged to have that facility. The iPads that we use and the way we use technology in learning really does help to enhance your learning. And finally, we produce doctors who progress well into the foundation year and beyond. And if you listen to Professor Holland's talk, he explains to you about how our doctors progress beyond. So I very much hope that you will choose Leicester and that we will be seeing you again in September. And I wish you all the best at this time.